Mary, hello. Thanks for joining me online. You wanted to talk about what working together was like.
Yes,
So
absolutely.
let's get you started
Okay,
with the issue that you came with that you wanted help to resolve.
okay. But first, there's a number, but I just wanted closure regarding some past experiences that I'd had in work, and that was very stressful for me, and maybe residual stress that had remained since that time, even though it was a long time ago. Um, at the time, I did feel a certain clash of values that I do feel contributed to that stress. I wanted to zone in on key learning for myself and maybe find a constructive way to share this learning in the future, um, as I
Mm.
anticipated that I would learn something.
Yeah, so that was your goal where you wanted to get to
Yes.
the constructive sharing. Um,
And plus maybe a resolution of the stress that I was experiencing,
yes,
still a residual stress that had remained from that time.
exactly. And talk about how high your stress levels were when we started working together.
Well, I would have found, for example, it was quite topic specific. So something would come up and it'd be a red hot topic, and my stress levels would go way up. I felt it was affecting me physically as well as emotionally. So that certainly surfaced in the early sessions, I felt. But before I came, that was one of the things I knew, that I really felt that this approach would be good for me. And um, yeah, that that it, that stress was there.
Hmm. And you might just fill viewers in on the all the other things that you tried, because I know you tried a few before you came to me.
Absolutely. So during that very stressful time that I mentioned to you, I tried all the usual things. So confiding in friends, talk therapy, primary care, even mental health for a little while, just with the GP, and nutrition, exercise. I also did mindfulness and Reiki, but to a lesser extent. So I was doing a lot of self care
Mm,
at that time, and also I did journaling, which has a lot of mental health benefits. But it didn't really. I mean, it did have some impact, but it didn't stop the stress that I had. And even since then, that residual stress never fully went away, even though I've continued to engage and even increase some of those activities. But they were all very beneficial.
mm. Sure, in their own way.
Yeah, absolutely.
Mm,
But I always felt there was something unfinished. I had
mm,
unfinished business. That's how I would encapsulate it.
mm, 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 mm. Exactly. So, and you might fill viewers in then in what ways was this different, us working together?
Okay. Well, first of all, anybody that knows me, I'm very verbal and I can actually be quite intellectualized. But I think that when it comes to, say, something like talk therapy, this can block me because I can find ways to talk my way out of having to face the pain. And I'm very clever at that. And also, maybe a tendency to please the therapist because I have that side to my personality. But for this therapy was very effective for me because there was the therapy and then the talking time, and they were in balance. And that got me to focus then in on what needs to be done, following the direction of you as the therapist. And I found that very grounding because I felt I was dealing with core issues, but in a very safe way. That's
Mm,
how it felt. Very deep, very powerful, very safe.
mhm,
So that's how it was, very, very different to anything I've experienced in terms of
mm.
therapy for stress.
Yeah, and it tends to cut through all the defenses people have don't matter as much.
Lovely.
It tends to cut through all that in a really safe
That
way.
was my experience.
Yeah,
Absolutely. Yeah.
yeah. And so then talk about the things that have changed for you, the results and benefits that you have now.
Okay. So, firstly, I would say an emotional release has been very, very good. And between sessions, there would have a certain amount of emotions would have come up, and I
Mm,
felt I did need a little bit more rest, and I paced myself, but that was really, really good for me. Um, a huge change has been an adjustment of perspective. So while I was familiar with all of my issues, what I had seen as a primary issue before went into fade, and something that I hadn't seen as a big issue was actually bigger than I thought. And there was further integration, much deeper and more connected, more powerful than I'd experienced before. And I'd done a lot of work. So
Mm.
I was very, very happy. I feel this is still settling down, to be honest.
Mhm.
Um, but even in quite a short time, I'm really surprised at how
Mm.
far I've come.
But talk about your stress response and how that is now.
Yes, so I can speak about issues in a far more detached way. So things that would have had my heart racing before because they were still had a powerful hold on me, old memories, things that happened that were not good. Um, I, I'm far more detached. And actually, even within the therapy sessions, you know, I found that very, very good. What number you'd say in terms of how strong a response was. And then quite not long later, maybe the number had gone way, way down, etc., etc. So,
Mm.
and you gave me exercises to do between the sessions, and I found that also very, very powerful and beneficial to
Mm.
consolidate the gains from the therapy.
Mm. Mm. And if I remember, the last time we tested, you were down to a 0.
Absolutely. And because one of the key things that came up once was you'd say, well, where are you now? And I'm saying, oh, like I've arrived, I'm a 2. And you said, why aren't you 0? And I said, it never dawned on me that I could be 0. It's like I was hanging on to the stress because if I'm not stressed, does that mean I don't care anymore? It was really, really powerful, and really, that was one of my key epiphany moments. Why do I need it to be 1 or 2? So it did go to 0, and that was really
Mm.
liberating for me.
Yeah, and that's the kind of the main difference. How this work stands apart is that we can actually remove
Mm,
the stress response.
yeah, and I think I said that to you before as well. For me, it's even I like the word dissolving. It dissolves. It
Dissolving.
dissolved. That I had given something power that really didn't have a power unless I gave it to. There's that kind of idea for me.
Mm.
And so I love the idea of something just dissolving.
Mm. That's a lovely way of putting it.
Thank you.
Yeah. So
Um,
what would you say to people that are carrying kind of baggage with them, maybe stress, maybe burnout, maybe even anxiety, maybe even anxiety combined with a low mood? What would you say about this work in relation to those things that carry strong stimulation of the nervous
Absolutely. Well,
system?
first of all, one of the things, because this is a long time since I'd had that significant stressful time, and then since just other issues. But well, first of all, the first thing I'm wondering is if I'd had this earlier, how would things have panned out in my life?
Mm.
It makes me think, why is this not embedded in our services? Really, seriously, I would say it's very powerful, and it's one of the best investments I've made in my time, to be honest.
Mm.
In time, money, whatever. I think it's very powerful results in a short time. Now, I can't speak for what anyone else will gain because obviously this is me, but it's my experience, and I'm saying it was for me very powerful
Mm.
and very positive.
Mhm.
I don't know where it fits into the fact that I've done other bits. Maybe do you get what you put in? I don't know, but I think what you do, which is define your problem.
Mm.
What are you coming for? And be prepared for your first session. They're key issues for me because then you zone in and you're telling yourself, what
Mm.
do I want to get out of this? Did I
Mm.
get it out? So I defined it at the
Mm.
beginning, and then I achieved the results I felt.
Yes.
If achieved is the right word, I found what I was looking for.
Mm. Mm. So I would say that the fact that you know yourself pretty well certainly helped you to get things done real quickly, but it makes no difference whether or not somebody has done anything before.
Absolutely. I'd say, to be honest
Yeah.
with it, I can't help thinking if I'd done this years ago, you know, it's, and
Mm.
it's an awful pity. I kind of look back and I say, was there a missed opportunity, like even say with the GP if they'd known, etc., etc. We're talking 15 years ago,
Yeah.
and it's just a terrible pity,
Well, it's
that
just
it's
looking
recognised.
forward, though, on what you have now.
Oh, totally. Oh,
Yeah.
absolutely. And
Yeah.
to be honest, maybe I've just taken the scenic route in relation to mental health. For somebody else, they're going to get the benefits because this might end up being more embedded eventually into the services. I would
Mm.
love to think it would.
Mm. So, and my next question to you will be a question on online work, because we've been working together only online. We've never met in real life. Can you talk a bit about that, what that was like for you?
I can. Because, as I said, I feel my preconception was I was a little bit concerned. I said, oh, I wonder how this will be. I would say, look, it's the time of COVID, let's go with it. Do you know what I mean? But we're so used to having interactions on a one-to-one basis in the flesh. I was surprised in a very positive way at how effective it was. It really, it was very, very positive. There was even benefits on some levels. Well, first of all, there's the obvious benefit that you don't have to drive a long way, maybe to the therapist, etc., etc. But there's also the fact that you're in your own home, and if you talk about something that has a safety kind of, or if you have any edginess around safety, there's something about being in your own home that I'm in charge here.
Mm.
I really subliminally, I think, found that a factor. I only kind of reflected on that afterwards, because also, say if something came up, or or if you want to do an exercise, or whatever way you were feeling, you might be tired, anything, you can go off, you can get a cup of tea in your own house immediately afterwards. So
Yeah.
I personally found it very positive,
Mm-hmm.
and I was surprised.
Yeah,
Because I feel I know you, like, even though we haven't even met in the flesh.
yeah, definitely that connection
Still there,
is, I don't find much of a difference with online work, but it's lovely to hear that from you, to hear that reflected back, that that's your experience. I would have heard that from other people, of course, as well, who have worked with me online.
Yeah.
It's great to
I
have you
suppose
say that
I was
here.
concerned a little bit about the sensory motor psychotherapy piece. How does that work if you're Zoom? But it works really well because you're actually doing the exercises under the direction of the therapist.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. So thank you very much, Mary, for sharing your experience, and best wishes for the future. I think you're in the early stages of integrating all this, so we stand by and watch.
Okay.
Thank you.
We should link up in 6 months and we'll see.
Exactly. And I'm sure that a lot of things will change for you yet. Mm-hmm.